Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to today's narration in the web series The Human from a Dungeon. If you're new to this series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 93, Nick Smith, Adventurer Level 11. Human American. There wasn't much to do on the drive to Kakena except nap. I awoke as the magic cart lurched to a stop in front of a building that looked remarkably similar to a painted warehouse. Before I could even finish my double take, the driver opened the door and everyone started climbing out. Beanie and Nomura looked around in awe as Thunder grabbed our bags from the back of the magic cart and returned them to their rightful owners. As each of us grabbed our bags, we received a handshake. "Thanks for the lift," Thunder said as it was York's turn. "What will you do now?" I asked. "Well, I'm hoping they'll reserve my room at my favorite inn, Trux's, if you were wondering. Once I get settled in, I'll take on some jobs." "I was under the impression that you had plenty of money," York said. "Yeah, got more than I know how to spend. I just like the work," Thunder chuckled. "But who knows? After all this education talk, I figured I might open a fight school. Brawling's usually passed down from parent to child, which, I don't know, hurts relationships, you know. Better to hate the teacher than your mom or pa, right?" "I suppose so." "Yeah, anyways, send me a message when you all got some more free time. Training's far from over," my massive orc winked at me, then laughed. I sighed as Thunder walked away, laughing the whole time. I couldn't wait to forget about melee fighting for a while. Dan had been working overtime to make sure that I felt as little of Thunder's training as possible, but it still sucked. The magic car continued on its way, and we walked up to the entrance of the Magic Academy. The doors had recently been replaced and a new coat of brown paint had been slapped over the exterior, but you could still tell this building had seen better days. It looked more like a rich person's warehouse than a school for the study of magic. Still, learning magic in an oversized shack is better than not learning magic at all. I pushed the door and it opened without resistance, allowing us to walk inside. The interior didn't look much better than the exterior, but it was cleaner than I expected. It also smelled like recent renovations had just occurred. Sawdust, paint, and other construction-related scents lingered in the air around us. "Welcome to the Kakena Academy of Magic," a female gnome said as she descended the main staircase. "I'm Headmaster Malura Grinzor, and you must be—" "Pleasure to meet you, Headmaster." Yuk bowed slightly. "I am Yuk of Clan Alta, and these are my students, Nick Smith, Namora Crowlin, and Yenny Margron." "I see," she said, raising an eyebrow. "You're the first teacher who has brought their own students. Just as well. Along with these three, we have only 20 students." "How many teachers are there?" I asked. 5. "Only 5, Yuk asked. Did any of my "Yes," Malura interrupted with a sigh. "Both of them were approved and, with some difficulty, contacted. Both of them have accepted. Elmira has already arrived and made herself at home. Lord Vicelmiro is still en route." "Excellent." I was glad to hear Elmira was going to be a teacher, and wondered who Lord Vicelmiro was. The name sounded familiar, but I was drawing a blank. Malura gestured for us to follow her and began giving us the tour of the school. We entered a few of the classrooms and had a look around. Each classroom had a lectern of 15 seats with small tables next to them. I'd expected desks, but these were armchairs. They looked really comfortable, too. "As you can see, we're currently a little overfurnished," Malura sighed. "These rooms are where you'll begin class unless told otherwise, but I'm sure that you won't spend much time here." "Why not?" Yenny asked. "Magic is best taught in practicum. Lectures are useful for establishing the basic concepts of some of the more complicated spells, but most people learn best by doing. Let's move on." Malura then led us further down the hallway and out the rear entrance. We entered a large yard with neatly trimmed grass and a high wall. Several groups of straw man targets were spread throughout the yard, all facing the back wall. "This is where the practical learning will take place," she said, gesturing towards the targets. "The walls are reinforced with glyphs, and we have plenty of targets, so there's no need to hold back. Using your magic on other students is completely forbidden, of course, with zero-tolerance policy. Expulsion is a minimum penalty if this rule is violated, but criminal charges may be applied in egregious circumstances. This includes healing spells as well. If someone is injured, one of the faculty will heal them. Finally, a member of the faculty must accompany any students who wish to use training yard. Any questions?" Yenny, Nomura, and I glanced at each other, then shook our heads. Yes, Yuk said, chuckling. When will classes start and how will they function? Oh yeah, Yenny whispered to herself. We begin lessons the day after Lord Weisselmeier arrives. Each day will be split into 5 periods, and each student will receive a schedule that'll tell them which classrooms they'll need to be in at what times. Each period will be with a different teacher. Malura explained. This is, of course, subject to change as things develop. We're still in the experimental stage, so there's going to be plenty of developments and changes to look forward to. Are there accommodations for students and staff? Yes, High Chief Ullamark has sequestered an inn across the road that has been struggling to pay its debt. It has been converted into a dormitory and cafeteria for the students. The top floor of the academy has living space for the teachers. Both of these amenities are available to an as-needed basis, of course. Will your students be requesting a room and board? Yes, Yuk answered. He began to explain our situation to the headmaster in more detail, and I took a closer look around our surroundings. The wall was very tall, probably something like 12 or 15 feet. But there were still some buildings peeking over it, as if they were curious. The academy must be fairly close to High Chief Ullamark's offices. The outskirts of the city looked like any other village, but as you got further in, things began to look more metropolitan. I looked at the academy again and realized that we were probably near the industrial area. Unless the building didn't actually used to be a warehouse, which would be an absolute shock. Then the girls caught my eye, while my first impression on the Kakena Academy of Magic was a disappointed one. Yenny and Nomura seemed absolutely enamored. Both of them were zoned out, studying the area around us. None of Naluva's buildings were quite as large as the warehouse/academy, let alone the massive structure surrounding it. They were no skyscrapers, but to 2 young girls from a village, these buildings were an impressive feat of architecture. Okay, I understand, Melara said. Take your students to the inn and find them a room. I'll have the necessary paperwork ready for you when you get back. Then we'll discuss what's going to be required of your position. Yes, Madam Headmaster. Yuk bowed a little. Okay, children, come along. Yenny and Nomura whipped their heads towards the chuckling orc angrily. Before they could start chewing him out, though, he began walking back towards the academy as quickly as he could. The girls stared after Yuk in disbelief, and then the 3 of us followed after him. They gave him an earful as we journeyed through the underwhelming academy and across the street to an inn that didn't look much better. It made me wonder if these were the slums of Kakena. However, the inn took me by surprise by looking much better on the inside than the outside. The entrance doubled as a tavern-style restaurant, and there were several people milling around. An elf behind the counter greeted us as we approached. Yuk greeted her back as I politely ignored stares and double takes. We have some students of the academy that need rooms, Yuk explained with a smile. Oh, good. We'd love to have some more guests, the elf said with a grin. 3 rooms? No, 2 will be fine, Yuk replied. I thought we could double up if that's okay, Yenny said. It would save some space. We have plenty of rooms, the woman smiled politely, and none of them have 2 beds. Wait, where's Nick staying? Nomura asked. Nick and I will be staying at the Barfax Inn, Yuk explained. It should be relatively nearby. What? How can you possibly afford that? We get to stay there for free, I answered. We saved the owner's nephew. Wasn't it his son? Yuk asked. I don't recall. Anyway, we saved the owner's family member, and now we can stay there for free. Well, that's not fair, Nomura pouted. From an existential point of view, you are correct, Yuk chuckled. However, it is a reward for a good deed that we have done, at much risk to our own health, might I add. Plus, our stay at the Marfax will make room for more students and teachers. And Nick won't be gawked at quite as often. Nomura looked around us and went quiet. The stairs weren't new to me, and I'd been ignoring them, but I would be lying if I said it didn't bother me. Nomura must have been in her own little world to not have noticed. Our lodgings may not be quite as luxurious as the Marfax Inn, but we hold ourselves to a very high standard, the elf interjected. I promise that you'll enjoy your stay. How much does it cost? Yenny asked. It's free for students of the Magic Academy. We get compensated by the government for each student that stays here. Same with your meals, by the way. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner are available to every student free of charge. That's probably going to change at some point. You'd better make sure that you take advantage of it while you can, Yuk said. I think they'll probably just add it to the cost of tuition, I argued. Perhaps. Regardless, let's get the girls settled in and then get checked in at the Marfix. The receptionist gave Yinny and Nomura their keys, and we carried their bags up to their rooms. The girls decided to stay behind and see if they could meet some of the other students, while Jukka and I went to the Marfix Inn. We asked the receptionist for directions, and we arrived after a short walk. The luxury of the Marfix greeted us warmly, and it didn't take long to get settled in. Jukka needed to go back to the academy to do paperwork and learn more about his role as a teacher, but I opted to stay behind and relax a bit. After a swim, sauna, shower, and meal, I returned to my room and kicked my feet up. To be honest, I was experiencing a bit of an inner turmoil. Part of me was excited about learning magic, but part of me was very, very nervous. What if this doesn't live up to my expectations, or if I don't live up to everyone else's expectations? It would really suck if I only learn 1 or 2 spells. On the other hand, what if I learn a crazy number of powerful spells and further ostracize myself? The confession Nash had made before we left had left an impression on me. Even if it was a small one. If I end up becoming the strongest fighter ever, what right do I have to ask my brothers to accompany me on what may turn out to be an extremely dangerous quest? Finding my way back home on my own would be difficult, but with overwhelming firepower, it would be almost irresponsible of me to even consider bringing them with me. Right? What if they die because of me? Could I trade their lives to return to Cass? Do I have that right? Jukka's assessment of our situation came into play as well. I don't know this world, and I'll need a guide on my adventure. Someone who can read, at the very least. My brothers promised to help me see this through, and they probably knew better than I could how dangerous this might be. Would it be right to force them to break that promise? Faced with the anxieties of an uncertain future, I sighed. The next leg of my quest would be to meet with the court of the fair folk and request their aid. After that, who knows? Maybe the journey won't be as treacherous as I'm making it out to be. Maybe Jukka and Nash will be able to accompany me without any fear of getting hurt. Or maybe it'll be so dangerous that our lives will be on the line every step of the way. But if I get strong enough, I might be able to protect them. Nash probably won't like having to rely on me for fights, but it's better than the alternative. They can guide me and support me, and I can make sure that they make it home okay. I just need to get a lot stronger. End of chapter. I would like to thank our T5 members and patrons, Casper Arnholtz, Jon Creighton, W.R.E, 050, Dragzoon W.R.E, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.